welcome to Pirkei Avos with Rabeinu Yonah. We are in the third chapter, and we're in the second half of Mishnah Tes, Mishnah number 9. Okay, Kol shemasav merubah mechachmaso. Whoever's deeds are greater than his wisdom, chachmaso miskayemis, his wisdom will endure. V'chol shechachmaso merubah maasav, and whoever's wisdom is more than his deeds, ein chachmaso miskayemis. Rabeinu Yonah says, when a person's deeds are more than his wisdom, his desire for wisdom will be greater than his wisdom. And every day that he's able to add wisdom, he will add it, and he will become wiser and wiser. That is someone whose deeds are greater than his wisdom. He has the desire, he will have the desire for more wisdom. When a person has a desire for more wisdom, he will become more knowledgeable, and his wisdom will endure. Right, we daven specifically in the morning when we say the blessing for the Torah, V'harav no. We ask Hashem that the Torah learning should be sweet for us. So when Torah learning is sweet, we'll learn it more. But if someone's wisdom is more than his deeds, his wisdom will not endure. Because then his desire for wisdom will be less than his wisdom. When a person doesn't have a desire for wisdom, his wisdom will lessen and it will go. This is the interpretation, the classic interpretation of the early commentaries. The Rabeinu Yonah has a question here. How is it possible to have more deeds than one's wisdom? So he says, he asks a question, very simple question. How can we praise someone whose deeds are more than his wisdom? How can you have more deeds than your wisdom? How can you fulfill what the Torah says if you don't know what it says? How can you have good deeds, meaning good deeds means the mitzvos, fulfilling the commandments of the Torah and following the ways of the Torah? How can you have more deeds than wisdom? Because if you don't know what the Torah says, then you can't fulfill what the Torah says. So how can you have mas of merubim bechachmaso? So Ella Zosa Mishnah Eita Tova Kamashmalon. So rather, this Mishnah is giving us good advice. What is the good mekabelas? Sheyesh lo lemisha ena yedeya bal yaabed nafsho. Shikawa of us is called dvarma shirigido kol chachmei doro lo yasim mehem yaminu small kasher yeda osan. A person who doesn't know all the laws, a person who doesn't know all the mitzvahs, how should he fulfill the Torah? This Mishnah is teaching us good advice to someone who doesn't know how to fulfill the entire Torah. One could have thought, I don't know all the mitzvos, so I can't keep them. So what should you do? Rather, what you have to do is you have to follow the sages of the generation and don't veer from what they say, right or left. So in the way they teach you, the Torah, you should try your best to follow. Right? If you think about it, it makes sense. All of us, we keep the mitzvos and follow the Torah before we know all of the topics in the Torah, because when a person grows up, his parents teach him how to keep the Torah. It teaches him how to keep Shabbos. A little Jewish kid growing up, his parents teach him how to how to keep Shabbos. The kid hasn't learned the Talmudic tractate of Shabbos. He hasn't learned the classic Jewish laws on Shabbos. He hasn't studied the Shulchan Aruch and the Mishnah Brura and the Tshuva Svarim about all the laws of Shabbos. He does what his parents teach him. So too, a person who wants to keep the Torah but he doesn't know all of the laws, he doesn't just say, "Oh, I don't know the laws, I'm not going to keep the Torah, forget about it." No, you find a rabbi, find the leader of the generation, it says, and listen to what he has to say. Find a reputable rabbi. Now, when a person does that, when a person puts in his heart, his full heart to do that, to listen, I'm going to follow what the rabbis tell me, he gets reward like he fulfilled the entire Torah, like he kept all of the mitzvahs. And it says, similarly, this is what it means here, that anyone whose deeds is more than his wisdom. Even though he doesn't know how to keep the deeds of the Torah, and he doesn't actually do it, nevertheless, they're called deeds. Since he accepted upon himself to keep the Torah according to the way the rabbis teach him, it's called that his deeds are more than his wisdom. Al Shem sheyesh lo schar lim ki ilo aso mikpi Kabbalah. He has reward like he did. V'chein meforish b'Avos Rabeinu. It says this explicitly in Avos Rabeinu. The Tanan Hasav we learned over there. Kol shemasav ruv mechachmaso. Whoever's deeds are greater than his wisdom, chachmaso miskayamis. His wisdom will endure. Shadam Rasa says nasav and ishma. We will do and we will hear. When the Jewish people came to Mount Sinai, they said, we will do and we will hear. When Hashem asked them if they want to accept the Torah. Shekadimu Yisrael asiyah lishmiya. The Jewish people said the action before listening. Shahayalahem leimar nishma v'nasa. It should have said, we will listen to the Torah and we'll do it. When the Jewish people, when Hashem said, do you want to accept the Torah? They said, we'll do what you say and then we'll listen. That doesn't make sense. They should have said, well, listen to what you have to say, then we'll fulfill it. Because before a person is able to do a deed, I have to know what I'm going to do before I do it. So rather, what were the Jewish people saying when they said, we will do and we will hear? They're saying, we accept upon ourselves to fulfill anything that you're going to tell us. God, we trust you. Anything that you tell us, we're going to fulfill. So right away, the Jewish people received reward as if they fulfilled the entire Torah because they accepted upon themselves that they were going to do it. And now, on the other hand, so that's what it means. When the Mishnah says, anyone whose actions are more than his deeds will be fulfilled, that's referring to somebody that even though he doesn't know the Torah, he accepts upon himself whatever the rabbis, whatever the sages are going to teach him how to fulfill the Torah, he's going to listen to them and fulfill the Torah. And with that, he has reward like he fulfilled the entire Torah. Now the opposite, a person should not say, I'm going to study this law and then I'm going to fulfill it. First, I'm going to study the entire Talmud and then I'll fulfill it. If you say this, your wisdom won't last. Because you need to first start doing the actions, and then your wisdom will endure. So a person who wants to keep the Torah, he shouldn't just say, you know what, I'm going to spend the next 30 years of my life studying the Talmud. I'm not going to keep anything it says, but after I finish studying the Talmud in 30 years, then I'll keep the Torah. That's the wrong way. Rather, a person should say, I am going to go to Rabbi so-and-so, and whatever he tells me to follow the Torah, that is what I'm going to do. I'm also going to learn, and hopefully in 30 years I'll finish the Talmud or whatever it is, and then I'll have a deeper understanding of what I have to do. But first, I accept upon myself that I'm going to fulfill the entire Talmud, fulfill the entire Torah, and with that, a person has reward like he actually fulfilled the entire Torah. Wishing everyone a great evening.